Welcome to the KPC Smart Money Podcast with Kevin and Karen Christ. So we're in part 2 of financial planning for new parents. There were 12 tips, but we wanted to break it up in 2 parts, right, Karen? So if you didn't have a chance to listen last week, the first tip was to make sure you plan for your maternity leave. Make sure you have enough money saved for the income that you need to pay the expenses while you're on leave. And then start to fine-tune your budget. As a new parent, you're going to have to budget for the baby and get ready for that. And then also, you want to invest in life and disability insurance. In case something happens to you, you want to be able to take care of the baby. Also, increase your emergency fund, which is a separate fund from your regular savings account. Brought that up. And you want to start saving for retirement. Sounds like a lot of saving, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay. There's probably some people thinking, well, what are we going to use to have fun with, right?
Enjoy your baby.
That's right. Enjoy your baby. So another thing that you need to do, one of the tips is, if you're only in your 20s or 30s, you're not thinking about what's going to happen when you die, but you need to update your will.
Or create one if you don't have one.
Yeah. A will not only outlines how you would like your assets divided in the event of your death, but it also names a guardian for your minor children.
Which is really important.
Very important.
You don't want some judge who doesn't know anything about you or your family making those decisions for you.
Bingo. So without a will and estate planning documents, the court will decide who cares for your children, and your asset will be distributed according to state law. So the government decides.
Right.
Ooh.
The government decides, or then all of a sudden, there's grandparents that want to get involved. It can get really ugly.
We've seen it in our practice. So while it may be tempting to put off this task, it's crucial to have a plan in case the worst happens. Having your will notarized is also good to ensure it's legally binding. You can typically find a notary at your local bank or courthouse. Or you can ask Karen. She's a notary. Here.
Yes. There's lots of places to find a notary, but a notary makes it official. Now, another thing you want to do is you want to take advantage of tax breaks. You now have tax breaks, okay? You might be eligible for the dependent care credit, or you might be eligible for the child tax credit. That can actually save you up to $2,000 per year per child. So you might be able to deduct childcare expenses, but in order to take advantage of these, you got to keep detailed records of your childcare expenses throughout the year. So even if you're doing your own taxes, because I know a lot of young families, they're not going to be, doing their own taxes, but even if you get H&R Block, or you want to go ahead and buy some good software, tax software. Just pay attention. It should already tell you when you put in that I have a child and I'm spending money, it should automatically get those credits. So look out for them.
Okay. What else, Karen? Update tax withholdings. Your tax withholdings will likely change once you have a baby. This is because the government considers children dependent, which means you may be eligible for additional tax deductions. Ensure that your employer withholds the correct amount of taxes from your paycheck by completing a new W-4 form. You can also use the IRS withholding calculator to help determine the right amount of tax to withhold from your paychecks.
Yeah, those W-4s used to be really simple, but I was helping somebody the other day with them. I'm like, holy cow, how complex can you make it?
It's the government.
Right.
They can't make it easy. They just can't do it.
Right. One of the things you might want to do is think about saving for college. College costs, they're skyrocketing, and it's wise to start saving as early as possible. Now, there's several ways to do that. One that's very common is setting up a 529 plan, or you can open up a custodial account, a UTMA, and you just make a habit of it. Just stick some money away in there, because the expenses are going to be tuition, fees. You might have room and board. It gets really pricey. But whichever way you choose, just pick something and start tucking money away now, because that is an essential investment in your child's future. And again, the sooner you start, the less you have to put in, because you've got a longer time period. And I'm just going to throw in kind of a word of advice here too. If you're going to send your kids to college, make sure they have some skin in the game. We've just heard too many stories where parents have, tucked away all this money for college, and then kid goes off and just decides to go party for a year or whatever. It's like, you want to put together a college savings account, but you want that child to also be working, save, give them a portion of those costs, and you will end up having what I believe to be a more responsible child in college.
That's good advice. Have some skin in the game. People that have skin in the game tend to pay more attention, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And, these days, four-year universities, they're just getting bizarre. I mean, it's almost like, you save all this money and you send your kid away to college. So what? So they can just be brainwashed? And they teach all this liberal. I mean, they don't really teach you how to be a productive person when you get out of college. Honestly, we see a real trend towards like more trade schools going on, because when you get out, you've got a skill and you're ready to work.
That's right. I was just watching something the other day that Mike Rowe, who does the dirty jobs on Discovery Channel, World's Dirtiest Jobs or whatever, and he has some kind of a foundation that helps, people go to, plumbing school and trucker school and, all these different things, because these are honorable professions that some of them, there's some plumbers that make some really, really good money.
And it's never going away.
More than...
It's not going to be obsolete.
Yeah, more than the person who spends $100,000 taking political science classes at State College, right? So, I mean, even when I was going to school, I'd ask people, I'd say, well, what are you taking? What's your degree? Political science. I say, okay, then what are you going to do? And then they kind of look at you like a deer in headlights. And I'm thinking, why are you wasting your time and money? Get a degree that somebody wants to hire you.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Unless you're going to be a lawyer or a politician or a teacher, there's certain things that just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, and there's some skills that are just flat out missing from a lot of college grads, like, hey, common sense. How about work ethic?
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of things that can't be taught in college. And, one thing that's really sad to me is a significant part of our economy is made up by small businesses. And yet, so many kids that go to college, they're funneled into, you must go to corporate, or you must do this, or you must do that. And there are kids out there who would be perfect for starting small businesses, but they're never encouraged.
Karen, from my experience, some of the wealthiest people are people who started their own business. It's riskier.
Sure it is.
Right? And we know that.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot more risk to it, but the reward, the whole risk reward thing, right?
Right.
If you're a corporate America drone, you can maybe make decent money with a college degree, or maybe you've got a master's degree. I mean, you can make some decent money. You can retire, pretty well, but you're never going to be wealthy.
Right.
All right. So what else? Update your health insurance coverage. If you're going to have a baby, you're going to have to do that, right?
Well, sure. You got to add the baby to the plan.
One of the first things a new parent should do is update the medical insurance. This is especially important if one or both parents are currently working. Most employer-sponsored health plans will allow new parents to add their child to the plan within 30 days of birth. First, however, you should check with your Human Resources Department to find out exactly what you need to do to add your child to your health insurance plan. If you're not currently employed, or your employer doesn't offer health insurance, you need to purchase a policy of your own. Various options are available, and you should compare different plans before deciding. With so many things to consider when you become a parent, updating your health insurance may not be at the top of your list. I bet it isn't for most people, right?
It needs to be.
Yes, that's right. However, It's a crucial step in protecting your family's health and well-being.
Yep. So we briefly touched on think about childcare. This is one of the most significant financial decisions you'll make as a new parent. One, because it is very expensive. But the other thing is you got this little baby and you're handing them over to basically strangers. That causes an extreme amount of anxiety. And I'm telling you, you are going to be looking for the best childcare that you can get. Yes, it's expensive, but quality is obviously super, super important. So our last recommendation before we wrap up the show, if what we said is overwhelming and you're like, I don't even know where to start, I don't even know where to get information, Find a financial planner.
Yeah.
Call us.
Right. That's right. Meeting a financial planner can be a helpful first step if you're unsure where to start with financial planning. You know, Karen, a lot of advisors and what we've met, they all talk about, what their minimum is, right? If you don't have $500,000, they don't want to talk to you. If you're not over 50 years old, they don't want to talk to you. So, you're going to have to shop around a little bit and find somebody that can do a financial plan for you. And if they're worth their salt, they'll be able to look at your expenses. They'll be able to look at, your incomes and see, put you on some kind of a plan that will help you get to where you need to be.
You can take free college classes. There's seminars, there's all different places that you can get resources. So don't feel overwhelmed. Just get information.
Listen, and Karen, you've seen people come in their 60s and 70s to our office, and just setting up a realistic budget is not easy for them, or prioritizing their spending. So saving for your child's education, investing in retirement accounts, planning for the baby financially, all those things are important. So that is it for financial planning for new parents. We'll be back next week with a new podcast with Kevin and Karen Christ on the Smart Money Podcast.
You've been listening to the KPC Smart Money Podcast with Kevin and Karen Christ. To listen to more episodes, visit kpcsmartmoney.com. You can also find the KPC Smart Money Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher.
KPC Financial Solutions is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through KPC Financial Solutions, LLC, a registered investment company. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any reference to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. KPC Financial Solutions is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by KPC Financial Solutions. Hypothetical examples have been provided for illustrative purposes only. It does not represent a real-life scenario and should not be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation.